Hi guys, it's Ben here from T-Rex Space Station. How's everyone doing? Sorry that I've not posted a video in a little while. I just got back from a holiday in Ireland, which was amazing. I actually managed to get sunburned, which is pretty unusual for a trip to Ireland. I was expecting it to be all rain and showers, but it really wasn't. It was absolutely roasting. I was looking through my YouTube videos recently and realised actually it's been 4 months since I did the first of these community collection questions videos. So today is going to be number 3. Firstly, I'd just like to say a big thank you to everybody who took part in the first video for all the video responses. It was a really good response and I was really pleased to see so many different games featuring there. And also a big thank you to Dave Webster who carried things forward and did the second video about 2 months ago now. I did originally intend to do these every month, but you know how it is, life got in the way and I've got really busy. But nevertheless, let's try and get things back on track, shall we? For those of you who are not used to the format, I'm basically going to ask you 5 questions as a way of getting you to show some of the maybe more unusual games in your collection, or to show some of the games that we don't see so often on here. So the first game then in your collection is a game that has aliens in it. It doesn't actually have to be several aliens, it could just be one alien. Either way, I've gone for a Sega Mega Drive title here, and the game is Alien 3. And this is one that I picked up from Play Expo in Manchester going back some months now. I took my friend Andy along and he seemed to really like this game. I think he'd had it when he was younger. And he said, "Go on mate, you've got to buy that." And, you know, it's a very good game. I think I got this for about £5 or something. You know, it has really good graphics. It carries along all of the art style and the characterizations of the Alien series. And it's kind of a sort of side-scrolling shooter with platformer elements. It's a very tough game though. You're essentially racing against the clock to try and save all of the hostages and then get the hell out of the level. And the levels are pretty damn maze-like, so I found myself getting pretty lost, and it's one of those games you've got to play over and over again, as are so many Sega Mega Drive games, to kind of remember the way and to beat the clock. The aliens are pretty damn ferocious as well. If you haven't remembered where they are, you need to at least be able to shoot immediately on sight because they're really quick and they will instantly ruin your health. There's a really good arsenal of weapons in this game though, including like a machine gun, assault rifle and the flamethrower, and you also have grenades, and you've got to use your arsenal really well to try to keep those goddamn aliens at bay. As I said, it's graphically really nice and it's a pretty good Mega Drive title. It's a pretty good Alien title. It's just a little bit too hard, so I wouldn't recommend getting this one unless you see it for cheap and you don't mind games that are a little bit challenging. You may end up finding yourself wanting to throw it out of the window. But you know, I've done a video of this not too long ago, so if you want to check that out, I'll post a link here so you can see for yourself and decide whether you want to buy it or not. Next up is a game that you got a bargain for. Now, this is another game that I've shown recently, and it was another Play Expo pickup. It's Megalomania on the Sega Mega Drive. I definitely got a bargain for this. £5, boxed and complete, and in really good condition. And you know you got a bargain because I think I showed you this last time, but the original price back in the day was £45. Bloody hell, games were expensive back then. That's like how much you'd pay for a PS4 title or something today, isn't it? It's really amazing that games were so expensive back then. I like talking about this game because it's really interesting and very unique, and you know, there aren't too many Sega Mega Drive real-time strategy games. I guess you could call this a god sim really, but you play as one of a selection of gods, lording it over a population on different islands of various degrees of difficulty. And it is kind of like a god sim, as in you have to progress up through various different levels of tech, starting out really basic with sticks and stones and getting more and more technologically advanced. And you basically compete against other gods who are on the same map as you, trying to wipe each other out. It's a very tactical game, it's really interesting. You have to decide how much of your resources you want to use, how many men you want to invest in each of the campaigns, and they carry over as you go through. And it's got some really unique, lovely little touches to it, like really funny voice acting, quite quirky little sense of humour in there, and a good attention to detail. And it's a game that not many people seem to have heard of. You can get this for a really good bargain, probably because it's kind of unknown and doesn't seem to be all that popular. So if you see this somewhere for a £5, you might want to pick it up because it's a really fun game. Again, I've done a video of that recently, so I will post a link to that so you can check it out if you want to. Next up, a game in your collection that you've had for 10 years or more. If you don't have any because you've sold them or something, then talk about a game that you own for a long time. I'm not sure. You have to be inventive with that one. Now, I kept all of my original Game Boy games, all of the games that I had when I was a kid. Now, I got it for Christmas, a limited edition one, and had some really good games for it, and they've gone everywhere with me. I've never thought about selling them, I've never got rid of them, I've just carried them and really loved them. And so I had to choose one of my original Game Boy games. The one I've chosen is Wario Land 3, which is essentially it's Wario Land, which is Super Mario Land 3. Now, I'm a really big fan of the Super Mario Land games on the Game Boy. I think they were all superb. I really loved the first one. A lot of people didn't. They thought it was a little bit, off-piste for a Super Mario game. Maybe the shmup elements put them off, or the fact that Mario behaved a bit weirdly. I really loved that game. I think number 2, the 6 golden coins, was a real highlight in the series, probably the best of the 3. That had the kind of more open world element to it. You could choose where to go and things. But this one is really good as well, and when I was a kid, it was like the first first Wario game that I'd played, and I really enjoyed it. Wario handles differently to Mario. It introduced the barge mechanic, and it's different, sort of controlling a much stockier, broader, more hefty character. Some of those mechanics have stayed the same. I've got the shake dimension on the Wii, and that handles very similarly with the barging around and using his weight and jumping underneath things and stunning the enemies and throwing them around. And those mechanics have, stayed true and stayed very good. It's got fantastic graphics. It's got some really good mini games as well. You collect coins throughout the levels, and you can use those to gamble to get more coins, to get lives, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, maybe it's not the best, but it's certainly a very, very good game. And if you're like me and love the Super Mario Land games, you need to get this one in your collection. Next up is a game with good music, and I'll leave the interpretation of good up to you. It might be something that's catchy or addictive or sticks in your head or is really emotive or is done with proper instruments, whatever. You could probably guess what I'm going to choose. Another Sega Mega Drive game. I just love the Mega Drive. And this one is Fire Shark. This is a game that I really fell in love with when I first played it, and the music really stuck out to me. The music is just unbelievable. You know that I love Iron Maiden, and the music in this, it's just classic rock. It sounds like the songs could have been written by Iron Maiden. It's all dual guitar harmonies and fast pace and good bass lines, and it's just everything that Mega Drive music should be. It's just really high tempo, and when I heard it, I was like, Iron Maiden could have wrote that. The good thing about the songs are that they're really easy to play on guitar as well. They're not too crazy. They're catchy, but simple enough that I could learn them. And so I've done quite a few guitar covers of the songs from this game, just because the music's just so damn good. It is a relatively standard shmup in some ways, but it's a game that has a lot of attention to detail. I like the little guys on the ground in the base, and the landing sequence, and the cars, and the dolphins and things. Those are all good, but the music is a standout part of that game. The music is the reason why you've got to play it. just love it. I just wish that somebody would do it as a full band and perform it live or something. I'd go along and mosh out. Maybe I should do that. I was planning on doing a version of all of the songs in the game. I think I've got through about 4 or 5. But it's all about time, isn't it? Maybe I'll go back to it and do some more. It's beautiful music. The OST is all on YouTube, so you can listen through to those. And again, I'll post a link to some of my own covers that I did recently. And lastly is a game that you found addictive. Now, there aren't too many games that fit into this category for me, not of late, because I'm really busy and can find it really hard to commit to games. I think it's just because the amount of time that I have to spend is really small. I can often sort of flit between games a little bit and not really stick things out so much. But this game really stood out for me recently, and the game is Bravely Default on the 3DS. It's a Square Enix title. It's maybe a standard JRPG in some ways, but it captures all of the charm of those kind of Final Fantasy style games. I found myself getting really addicted to it. I can be quite cautious with RPGs. I didn't want to play something that was going to take my time and not be good, so I've been researching this for ages and made sure that I thought I was going to enjoy it before I began. I guess the actual main gameplay could be considered to be relatively standard, but the job systems are really good. You can change your jobs all the time. It's really detailed, and I love that variety that you get there. The side quests are important because they're used to get new jobs, and you'll need those jobs to beat the bosses, some of the harder bosses. That was part of the addiction, because the side quests were actually relevant. They weren't just sort of like tagged on little things that you had to do for no particular reason. They're actually really important. If you don't do them, you won't get the jobs, and therefore your characters will be really one-dimensional and not that useful. So that was great. And the other big part of it was the town building system. You have to rebuild your village called Narende. And you use that using real-time hours, so with your DS in sleep mode. And that was really addictive, because the more time you put into it, the more you develop, the more items you get in-game, the more special attacks you get, the more abilities. And so again, it was directly relevant to the main plot and the main mechanic of the game. There are street pass features there, and also you add villagers whenever you sort of street pass with somebody or add friends online. And again, I found that really compelling, and found that I just kept wanting to push a little bit further to build more of my town and get my squad a bit stronger. So it is a lot more than a standard JRPG in many ways, and it's definitely one worth checking out if you've got the time. About 25 hours in, and I may not complete it, but that's still a lot of hours for somebody like me who can be very flittish when it comes to games. Alright guys, I hope you've enjoyed those questions, and I look forward to hearing your responses, video responses. Please post links in the comments below. Take care guys, and I'll speak to you all soon. And hopefully I'll manage to make this more of a regular thing. It won't be 4 months until the next one, I can promise.